Friends of Pop Quiz, when I say Nissan, what car model pops in your head? I'm willing to bet Z. Now, here's another question. When I say Nissan and longest continuously produced Nissan, what would be the answer? You'd probably say Z, but that would be wrong because there was a little spot of time where it wasn't produced. So the actual real answer is the Nissan Maxima. Now, for those of you old enough to remember, the Maxima was the original four-door sports car. At least it was the first car that was officially dubbed four-door sports car. Remember the '89 model year car? The rear window of the rear door said 40SC. That car even had a manual transmission. So that means we need to start at the most important parts, the greasy bits. So underneath the hood here, it's a 3.5-liter V6. Now I know what you're thinking, sounds like a carryover engine. Turns out 61% of the parts are all new, and of the most interesting, the exhaust valves are sodium-filled. That's a technology that they've pilfered from the GTR. Basically lowers friction, increases output. So you got 300 horsepower and 261 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. Now let's press onto the transmission, and friends, this is where the news isn't as exciting because you can get anything you want as long as it's a CVT. Get it? No gears, CVT. Anyway, I digress. Basically, what Nissan is trying to accomplish here is the same thing they're trying to accomplish with all their other CVT-equipped cars, to simultaneously balance fuel economy and performance. In this application, what they've done is they've lowered friction by 40%. But what they've gotten is increased fuel economy. So this big D-segment car actually gets 30 mpg on the highway. That's pretty impressive. On the performance side, what they've done is they've increased the range of the CVT, so they're trying to mimic holding a gear like coming out of a turn or anything like that. Let's put a pin in that discussion until we get our butts in the seat. Okay, let's put aside transmission and let's focus on bits that would get a gearhead like you and I excited, and that is definitely the chassis setup. There are two big changes here. The first and foremost is the rear suspension is this very intricate multi-link setup, something you would see on like a high-end European car. Nice touch to see it here. Then the second thing is they followed that theme of like high-end European and went to ZF for monotube dampers, and the whole concept there was to improve fade resistance. From there are two separate tunes that you can specify. Think of it as a base car, and then there's the SR. In the base car, there are 4 different ways in which you can have the car equipped. Think of it as like option packages. So there's like an S, an SV, an SL, and a Platinum. It all depends on how fancy you want your car. Then there's the SR, and that's all tuning setup. So that changes the dampers, it changes the springs, it adds a front stabilizer bar, it adds these very cool diamond cut, is what they call it, 19-inch wheels. It adds a custom tire. So they went to Goodyear and they had Goodyear design a tire specifically for this car. Now I always ask what that means, and really it's a balance between grip, steering response, and NVH. So in the case of the SR, where you're trying to get more performance, they were able to trade away some NVH, but increase steering response and grip. But it's not all hardware changes. There's one major software change, and yeah, you do have all the stability control, but now they have control over fore and aft pitch. So think of situations like broken pavement, hard acceleration, elevation changes under load. Now this is a part of our conversation I want to put a pin in, return to once we have an opportunity to drive the car. There's one major thing about this SR that bothers me that you and I need to discuss. You see this panoramic sunroof over on the Platinum Edition? Well, you can't get it on the SR, and Nissan's logic is they want to keep a certain torsional rigidity. Now, I get that if I've got an M3 with a carbon fiber roof and I'm going on track days, but I just don't think that there are that many people taking Maximas on track days where they shouldn't be offering a sunroof. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, while we're focused on the exterior, let's talk about the biggest change, and that is definitely the design. So this car was penned in the same place that Randy did the 370Z, the San Diego Nissan Design America studio. And notice the A, B, and C pillar, they're all black. It's the second Nissan that has this. The Murano was the first. But here, combine it with that sunroof, and the idea was to make it look like the canopy of a fighter jet. They went so far with this theme that a bunch of people behind the scenes on the Maxima project went down to Florida to meet up with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels and talk to them about inspirations and what those guys like in cars, and they kind of went back with all that homework and came up with this design. Now friends, I've been doing this a while, so I've heard all sorts of inspirational stories, but when you open the door of this thing and look at the interior, you can clearly tell someone has been dreaming of fighter jets. You sit very low, odd for a sedan. The console is high. The dashboard is tilted towards you. I would go so far as to saying that the interior is by far the most successful change of this next-gen Maxima. But it's not just the overall design of the interior, it's like the little bits that kind of raise the overall feel of it. Like look at the stitching on the dash, the stitching on the console, even the diamond quilted stitching on the seats. That's something you see on a Bentley, not a Nissan. But then go over to the SR and all of that changes to, it's not suede, but suede from Italy, Alcantara. It's on the seats, it's two-tone on the steering wheel, it's even on the door panels. Now there is one change, the jury's out in my brain on it, and that's the trim pieces. They call it a faceted trim. Notice like the geometric shape on it. And I like the coloring. There's mahogany, there's liquid chrome, and there's razor steel. But you know, this is another one, let's put a pin in this and come back to it. But by far the coolest change, when you open the door of the SR, notice the start button, it pulses like a heartbeat. Even more unique, we have the privilege of meeting the guy who actually built the car, Mr. Vishnu Jayamoni. Sir.
Good to see you, Moto Man.
Very good to see you again. This was the man behind the Ultima for a bit there, weren't you?
Absolutely.
So, tell us about your baby here.
Well, it's been a privilege working on this car, Moto Man. It is the flagship of our brand, and we're extremely proud of how this latest generation has turned out. We're looking forward to many future legions of four-door sports car fans.
Okay, what did you say there? It was the flagship of your brand?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to point out, what kind of car do you drive?
I drive, right now, I don't drive the flagship of our brand.
Yeah.
I drive a Nissan GTR.
Well, I'll leave it to you guys to decide which one's the flagship. But let's get back to your baby here.
Current car, in its 7th year of life, is still one of the best retailing V6 sedans in the segment. And we have 1.3 million owners of Maximas today on the road. Take all that aside, because we're here to talk about this all-new 2016 Maxima. So I'd like to ask you and your viewers for a favor. I'd like to find out what you guys like about this all-new Maxima and what you'd like to see in new Maximas down the road.
I think we can help you with that.
Okay.
Yes, our viewers are quite vocal about this kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
So here's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
So you heard Vish. He wants to know what you guys like about this car and what you want to see in future products. Let us know in the comments below or via our social media, Motoman TV all one word, Motoman TV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then I will collect those. And when we come drive the car,
that I look forward to.
I'm very excited to drive the car, especially the one with the sunroof. We're going to go through the comments together and perhaps we answer some of them together.
Fantastic. Sounds great.
Thank you very much for the early access.
Thank you so much as well, and thank you for your feedback.
So here's the script. Click here to subscribe. Click here to watch one of our 350 other episodes. And most importantly, share us with your friends. You're only wasting half your life on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Motoman TV, all one word. I don't care who you share us with. Share us with your enemies. Just give the gift of Motoman.